Hi, this is Rebecca Sutton with the Resilient Women Club. You can find me online at beccasutton.com. I'm here with Samantha Calonita, a career coach for women. Hi, Samantha.
Hey, Becca, how are you today?
I'm doing great. I'm doing really good, and I hope you're doing well.
I am. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm really interested in for my audience and hearing your story, so please tell me a little bit about yourself.
All right. Well, I'm Samantha Calonita. Today, I am a life and career coach for women, but I wasn't always that way. I would like to say that my journey started off with a bang, but in all actuality, it started off with a panic attack on my wedding day. It was just,
Wow.
yeah. Tell me about like a sign you can't ignore. It was the moment that the thunder crashed that the perfectionist in me, the girl that puts so much pressure on herself, could see all the details, all the expectations, all the what will they think of me is running down the drain with that water. And so for the very first time in my life, my eyes go wide. I didn't know what to do. I grabbed a bottle of white wine and my two older sisters, and I ran to the bathroom. At this point in my life, I'm 24 years old. I have zero tools for dealing with this. So I just sit on this marble floor in my poofy white dress and have my very first panic attack.
Mm.
And I'm breathing. It's the only thing I can think to do is just breathe, Samantha. And so as I'm breathing, my oldest sister comes over and she puts her hand on my shoulder and she said, Samantha, at the end of this day, no matter what, you and Michael will get married. Tomorrow morning, you're going to leave for your honeymoon. But when you come back, we're going to get a handle on this because this is not the way that you want to start your life together.
Right.
As big sisters so often are, she was exactly right. I did not want to start my marriage this way, full of anxiety and fear and stress. So when I came back from the honeymoon, I started a journey of a different kind. And this one was going to be a journey within. So I hired my first coach and energy worker and just dove in with both feet to personal development. And it was through my work with him that I understood the root of my anxiety and perfectionism.
Mm.
And it was trauma. I had been repressing for more than 15 years sexual trauma that I experienced in my childhood.
Okay.
And it was expressing itself as an adult as anxiety and perfectionism. The anxiety was that I never felt safe. I never felt safe in my body. I always felt like I had to hold something in and keep a secret. I was always looking over my shoulder. And the perfectionism, well, I think it was actually a pretty advanced coping mechanism for a little kid to come up with. But basically, 4-year-old Samantha decided that if she could get other people to think she was okay and good enough and that she wasn't broken, that maybe she could believe it too. So
Right.
it started me on this path to be such a people pleaser, to be such a perfectionist, to always try to get other people's validation and approval because I just didn't have any on the inside.
Mm.
So all of these realizations are coming through. It was incredibly challenging. And as you can imagine, when you're unearthing, decades long trauma, there is shock and fear and tears and anger. All of these emotions are up to deal with. But of all those emotions, there was one that was a little bigger. It was this deep knowing inside me. And I can honestly feel it in my gut right now. This knowing that, number one, I was going to get through this. I was so determined. There was just this core knowing in me that said, you are going to get through this and you are going to get to the other side. And the other knowing was, I'm going to come forward about this. I am going to tell the truth. And I will make sure that not one more child in my family is hurt by this person.
Mm.
There
That's
was just,
brave.
thank you. I received that. It took me a while, but I got to tell you that bravery is my favorite quality within me.
Mm.
That resilience, that bravery to stand up for yourself. So that's what I did. I started with telling my sister and then my husband. I was scared for that one, but he was so gentle and kind and stood with me. And then I drove to my childhood home for the very last time where I knew that this person would be. And I walked in the door, legs shaking, voice trembling, palms very sweaty. And I asked this person to sit down. I stood and I took a deep breath and I spoke up. And I said, I remember it all. And I remember how you hurt me. And I told my story as best I could. And he never admitted it, but he never denied it. But it didn't really matter. What mattered was that I was telling the truth, and I would stand in that truth forever. In that moment, I felt unshakable. Even though my legs trembled and my palms were sweating, I was unshakable because I was telling the truth. And I was finally taking the power back that this person had taken from me. They took my voice and my confidence and my sense of self. But in that moment, I took it all back. And I walked out of that house for the very last time, having done the bravest thing of my life. And I made sure to spread the truth widely. I told my parents and siblings and aunts and uncles, I told them, we are not living in a veil of secrecy anymore. This family is coming into the light. We're going to live in the truth. And I invite you guys to live in the truth with me.
That's great.
Thank you. So yeah, that is the moment that my life changed the most. More than the panic attack, more than getting married, and more than anything, it was standing in my truth in that moment. Because that was the bravest and scariest thing I ever did. And I thought to myself, if I could stand up to him, there's nothing I can't do. I could do anything.
Right.
So that's what I did. Within a few months, my husband and I both quit our very safe, somewhat unexciting jobs in New York City. I hopped a plane to India with my sister and my coach and some of our friends, and we hiked the Himalayas and stayed at ashrams and bathed in the Ganges River and just connected with nature and spirituality in a whole new way. And then I came back, and Mike and I packed up our apartment in New York, and we hit the road for Savannah, Georgia, with no place to live and no jobs to go to. But once again, a really deep knowing that we could restart our lives with intention and purpose. And with a deep knowing that I was going to start my coaching business. I was going to be able to become a coach, because if I could just help one person feel like she could speak her truth and stand in her power and be unshakable, just like I felt that day, then everything I went through would be worth it. So that's what I did. And 4 years later, here we are.
That's a wonderful story, and well said, well put.
Thank you.
Tell me a little bit about how your family took the idea of standing in the truth with you. Were they supportive?
You know, I was so afraid. I think whenever you come forward, or this was at least true for me, it's a big risk. You're risking all of your relationships. You're risking people not believing you. But I believed me. I knew it was true.
Right.
So I said, well, it's worth it. If one of them comes with me, then great. But if no one does, it's still the truth, and I will stand by this. And it was hard for some of them. Both of my sisters, immediately, they were with me. They were sad and shocked. But the bond between the three of us is so deep and so close that they stood by my side, and I'm grateful. My mother stood by my side. My husband stood by my side. My whole family did. They all said, okay, we're with you. We will be here to support you. They became gentle and more loving than I've seen them in a long time. But there were also a lot of growing pains because now we had to constantly tell the truth. We weren't.
No elephant.
Yes, no more elephants in the room. When we were uncomfortable or angry with each other or frustrated or feeling left out, we had to practice speaking up in all those little moments so that they didn't become big moments. But man, is that uncomfortable in the beginning.
Yes. But you revolutionized your family.
I like to think so. We kind of like shattered the illusion of what it was. And now we're something real and a little messy and authentic and so much closer because all of our relationships are real. They're not forced or like fake smiles through it all. Like, we don't do that.
That's priceless.
Yeah,
Really
it's really
priceless.
special.
You can't put a price on that.
No.
Well, tell me, how did all this make you a resilient woman?
Let me tell you, this was the bravest thing I ever did. I faced my biggest fear, right? And I risked it all. I risked my whole family. I honestly felt like I risked my marriage by speaking up because my brain back then, it was still in the old stories of victim mode and trauma. And so my brain was telling me, Samantha, your husband's going to think you're broken and disgusting and he'll never want to touch you again.
Right.
He's going to leave you. And he should, because you can't be married. Like, who are you? It was just telling me all these horrible thoughts. And
Wow.
it's really what I believed. I believed he would leave me that day.
Mm-hmm.
And he didn't. He stood by me.
Thank God.
Truly, he is still an amazing support system. And even though we took our wedding vows a few years prior to that moment, I feel like that was what cemented our vows to each other. That he stood by me in my darkest moments where I literally felt like a puddle of a person. Like I just melted into a puddle.
Mm-hmm.
And he stood by me. And I vowed to stand by him in his darkest moments too. That we're going to face this together. Which is a bit of a tangent, but it's to say I put it all on the line. So when you risk everything, it's like, oh, how scary is starting a business? Like, how scary is hosting an event and nobody shows up? Like, how scary is making a mistake on your sales page? Like, not that big of a deal.
Right.
It really took away a lot of my fear of failure because I had so much confidence and self-worth that nothing outside of me could take away what I built on the inside.
That's wonderful.
Thank you.
Well, so tell me some of the tools. You mentioned energy work. So what were some of the tools you used to overcome this adversity?
So I'm a little bit of an untraditional gal. I like the woo-woo stuff and energy work. So my coach is also, he would never call himself a coach. He just doesn't do labels, but it's easier for me to call him that. But he's my coach and energy worker, and we did a lot of breath work together. It was such an amazing tool to help literally move energy out of my body, move emotions out of my body. And there's a theory that when you experience trauma, there becomes trauma trapped in the cells of your physical body. And you want to be able to move that trauma and release it so you can feel safe in your body again. So we did a lot of that, a lot of breath work, a lot of moving. I did craniosacral therapy. I did acupuncture. I did Reiki. When I do something, I really do it. So I went all in.
Me too. I understand that feeling.
So I would say those are all like individual tools. The biggest tool to overcome this was my people. That I didn't do it alone. And
your support network.
Yeah, I don't think I could have done this alone. It had to be done in concert with this group of mentors, coaches, healers, partners that held me up. They literally gave me the strength to keep going and the support to keep going. So my people, they were my number one tool. Breath work was invaluable to me in really working through and moving the energy through my body. Journaling sounds so simple, but for me, I didn't know how I felt until I wrote it down.
Right.
And it helped me so much to separate what was real from what was a story. You know, the story is you're broken, but what's real is, oh, you're whole and complete. You're right here. You survived. You're strong. Keep going. You woke up this morning. You're here. It really helped me to separate the stories in my head from the truth of who I am. So those were a few major tools. I mean, there are a lot more. I'll say one that I think is a little bit untraditional was moving. For
Okay.
me, moving was a tool. Um, I needed to feel physically safe in my body and in my home. And at that time, I really did not. Um, the person that I spoke up about knew where I lived, knew how to get access to me, could call my phone. I blocked them and whatever, but I just didn't feel safe anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to prioritize getting out of a toxic environment and getting to a physical place where I could focus on my healing and where I could breathe again. So getting
Mm-hmm.
physically safe was a major tool for me.
That's true. I know that I speak about happiness, and two of the keys to happiness are, one is um, knowing your passion and living it out, and the other is having a good support network.
Yes.
So I know you have a good support network. So tell me a little bit about your passion and how you've lived it out. What do you do for women?
I am a soul purpose coach. That's like the woo woo term I will use for
Okay.
myself.
Okay.
So, what I really do is I help women who are unfulfilled, busy, burnt out, overwhelmed in their careers to find their purpose and heal from burnout and create their dream jobs.
Mm-hmm.
I get to live my purpose every day because I empower women to be their truest self, to stop living life based on what they thought they should do and who they thought they should be and what society wanted from them. And I help them find who they really are, that woman they were always meant to be, and build an amazing, fulfilling, and successful career around that purpose.
Yes.
So much fun.
Yes, that's similar to what I do in my course, is help women find their passion and move forward in that so that they too can live a fulfilling, happy life. I think that's wonderful work.
The more of us that are out there doing this, helping women shine a light on their truth, on their strengths and their passions and their joys and their values, the better. Imagine what
Yeah,
would happen if we had a generation of truly empowered, fulfilled women. Like, we would change the world.
absolutely. Absolutely. So where can we find you online, Samantha?
So, very simply, you can head over to my website, samanthacalonita.com. Also on social, the places I hang out the most are on Instagram at Samantha_Calonita, and in my private Facebook community. It's called the Heart-Centered Women Find Your Purpose. And I go live at least once a week. We have really great, valuable discussions. It's the place where, like, today I look like I have makeup on and like I tried to get dressed, but it's the place where you can take off the mask, be yourself, show up raw, vulnerable, and real, and build genuine connections with other women who want to do the same.
Well, I would love to join your group, and so, send that over in my messenger. And also I want to encourage you to join resilientwomen.club, that is a networking and support group for women with mental health issues.
I would love
Um,
to. Thank you so much for that
so
invitation.
yeah, and I think this has been a really great opportunity to share something very deep and powerful for my listeners, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much. I was so grateful to be here, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Again, this is Rebecca Sutton. You can find me on beccasutton.com, or resilientwomen.club is our networking and support group. Feel free to head over there and join. And in the bio will be links to Samantha's website and coaching practice. Thank you and have a great day.